Self-image is one of those things, like many things, that's very neutral, and it depends on the holder of it, right? Because like you said, right, I think some people are so like anti-self-image that they bring themselves to the point of almost seeming to not have a sense of personhood, right? But then some people are so locked in on controlling their self-image that their whole personality is manufactured, right? And so like the idea of authenticity stems from the alignment of your self-image with your real image. Not your real image, but your public image,
With your public,
right? You know what I'm saying? Like there's the way people see you and there's the way you see yourself, right? But I'm gonna put that to the side again real quick because I think something, to just acknowledge something you said, somebody asked me the other day, what's the value of learning philosophy, Daniel? You studied that shit for four years. What's the point of that, right? And I'd be lying to you if I said philosophy's made me like any money necessarily, right? No one's ever paid me to do philosophy, right? However, you know, what studying philosophy does, what studying almost anything does, is that it affects your perception, all right? What you think and what you see affects what you do. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, right? If you have a poor self-image, if you see yourself as less, if you think, I wrote this in my book, a child who is told that they are stupid will grow up believing they are stupid and will never take confident action. You know what I'm saying? That leads to just positivity in life. You know what I'm saying? And I love that also you're using the language of programming. Something I've been working on recently is a cognitive and decision making workshop. And it all has to do with that. Well, there's a good portion of it that has to do with perception and image. You know what I'm saying? And how we see others and how we see ourselves, right? And the need to, you know, you once said a year ago, reduce importance.
Correct,
and I think, you know, that's important when it comes to caring and not caring. But I think also prioritizing importance, right? Because you're right, the perception of a random stranger of you on the street doesn't matter necessarily, right? However, if you got a video of you doing whatever stupid type of substances, putting whatever in your nose, and then you got an employer who sees that on Facebook, right? That's a type of harm, right, that can come to your image. That's when it might not be a bad time to care. You know what I'm saying? Because it might be the money that pays your rent at the end of the day that comes into effect. I
could go off like a lot of things you said. Talking about perception, I have a framework around perception that really, another breakthrough for me. Which is perception versus perspective.
Perception, I gotta hear this.
And I'll get into that. And then you talked about philosophy, same thing. Like the 4 categories that I really like to learn about, one, philosophy, teaches me how to live, teaches me how to be more calm. At times I operate off of either hope or fear, and philosophy kind of teaches me that either or is going to lead to me being an emotional wreck. So if you hope something, an outcome's going to happen, and it doesn't happen, bang.
Yes, disappointment.
You give yourself an ideal, and then that ideal doesn't happen. Now you have these expectations that you're left with, and there's a gap. But then if I always just compare and measure myself backwards instead of doing an ideal, am I better, like in all aspects of life, than Gene yesterday or Gene a month ago? And I could be like, hell yeah. Then there's a gain there. I positively progress. But anytime you go ahead and put something in forward view, it's like you become your own puppet.
That's a really cool way to actually break it down.
That's called the gain and versus the gap.
The gain versus the gap.
Correct.
You want to, like, okay, oh wow, that's way better than whatever I was gonna say. The gain versus the gap. All right. Identifying the growth rather than the deficit. All right. I like that. Okay. I want to hear more about this perception versus perspective thing.
Okay. So you're talking about perception. How do you define perception again?
If you're trying to pay for Daniel to go back to school, like and subscribe.
Help the youth.
Yes, I'm the youth.